Tonight on CTV News, power agreement punted.
Obviously, without an agreement with the Greens, it makes our voting more uncertain.
Parting ways why the Green Party says it's ending its deal with the NDP to support confidence motions. Could an election be triggered?
We were thrilled to hear the Government of Canada announce that we would be launching a bid to be the headquarters.
Pitch from the Premier, the bid to make Vancouver home to a multinational defense bank and thousands of new jobs.
It makes me happy to see that our house wasn't wasted.
Saved from the wrecking ball, Port Moody homes get a new lease on life for First Nations families.
This is CTV News with me, Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The NDP hold on power with its slim majority has become more unpredictable. The BC Greens say they won't renew their governing accord with the NDP, ending a deal that helped keep the government in power. CTV's Craig Krause now with our top story.
The BC Greens will not be renewing our cooperation agreement with the BC NDP.
The BC Greens sending a message to Premier David Eby, potentially undermining the stability of the government.
This agreement began as an opportunity to stabilize an NDP government and deliver shared priorities for British Columbians.
Set to expire next month. The reason for not renewing stalled or undelivered commitments. So much so that Green leader Emily Lowen says 2/3 of the goals of the agreement were not accomplished.
The NDP simply failed.
She says this included community health care, transit in the Sea to Sky region and on Vancouver Island, along with electoral reform.
British Columbians do not want uncertainty right now.
The NDP firing back on Monday.
The one party that benefits is the Conservatives, and we think that British Columbians do not want an election right now.
Deputy Premier Nikki Sharma saying the Greens wouldn't rule out voting with the BC Conservatives on confidence measures to trigger an election. New Democrats are currently holding on to a slim majority, with 47 members.
Without an agreement with the Greens, it makes our voting more uncertain, and it makes the work of the House uncertain.
I did not find this decision at all surprising.
Political analyst Hamish Telford says Lowen made it clear last fall she wanted a more robust opposition to the government. This could serve as that. So could this spark a snap election? Unlikely. For now.
They can dare the Greens, you want to bring us down, go for it. And I don't think the Greens are really in a position to do that. And I don't think the Conservatives are in a position to do it while they're in the midst of a leadership race. So I think the government's feeling confident, some might even say a bit smug.
Whether the NDP and the Greens work together in the future as they've done for years is now unclear. But for Lowen, one thing is clear.
It is incredibly clear to me now that the gap between our parties is growing.
Craig Crowe, CTV News, Vancouver.
The province is once again pushing for the city of Vancouver to be the headquarters of the new Defence, Security and Resilience Bank. Premier David Eby said Vancouver is now officially in the running and the move would be crucial in addressing the economic uncertainty the country is facing. But as CTV's Yasmin Gandam reports, there is plenty of competition.
We were thrilled to hear the Government of Canada announce that we would be launching a bid to be the headquarters of this new bank.
Vancouver officially in the running to be the host city for the new Defence, Security and Resilience Bank. Premier David Eby says hosting it in BC would lead to great economic advantages.
Whether you're talking about our physical location as the gateway to Pacific allies, located directly between NATO nations and Pacific allies, whether you're talking about the skilled workers that are here in British Columbia, whether you're talking about our climate that ensures that travel can happen year-round.
The DSRB is a newly created multilateral institution for NATO and its allies. The province says it would create approximately 3,500 high-paying jobs and bring global visibility to BC.
British Columbians understand that our national security and defense capabilities matter more now than ever. The Defense, Security Resilience Bank is designed to support industries that are crucial to our shared safety and economic security.
Vancouver isn't the only Canadian city in the running. Toronto and Montreal are putting forward proposals as well. But EB believes BC has the advantage and that it's not just investors who stand to benefit from those many projects.
We're investing in British Columbians so their wages can go up, so they can meet the cost of living challenges that they're facing.
The DSRB is expected to be fully established by the end of this year and include up to 40 member countries. Now it's up to Ottawa to decide who will be the host city. Yasmin Gandam, CTV News, Vancouver.
People living in a condo building on Vancouver's west side have been left with a huge mess to clean up. A water main ruptured early Saturday, sending torrents of water into the complex, causing plenty of damage. The city says the issue is now fixed, but homeowners still have questions about whether their costs will be covered. CTV's Dimitra Maragos has the story.
So this is my unit right here that's been damaged by the flood.
Dominic Tomkowitz says when he woke up Saturday morning, there was close to 2 feet of water in his basement.
It was just an awful scene. It reminded me of a scene from a disaster movie.
And that wasn't the worst of it. He says the parkade had even more.
The water was up to waist level.
The flooding is all because of a water main break on U and West 32nd Avenue. The city says it was installed in the 1960s and was not scheduled to be replaced. The city adds their crews responded immediately and the water main was repaired on Saturday. But Tomkowitz says the damage was done and several tenants have had to temporarily relocate.
The city did fail in a big manner, especially given that it was their water main that broke.
He says his 2 e-bikes, one valued at $4,000, were damaged. So was his family's car.
And this is our boiler.
And the boiler had to be replaced.
This is quite a big inconvenience, to put it mildly.
It wasn't just Tomkowitz's family who have had to pick up the pieces. The city of Vancouver says there were about 15 cars in the underground. Videos shared by Tomkowitz show them submerged in water, including this luxury car.
There's a lot of tension in the air as to whether insurance is going to cover, all of the costs or some of the costs. That is absolutely crazy, guys. Look at that.
While the city did move the water from the surrounding streets, Tomkowitz says the strata was on its own to pump out the water from the parkade.
Mad, it felt like a slap in the face, honestly, especially considering that, we are taxpayers who pay our money to the city for services like this.
While he says he's grateful to the private contractor who removed the water, the question about the cost of the damage for the condo owners still remains.
I just hope we can all move on from this and, get as much money back from this as possible.
The city says it's still investigating what caused the water main to break. Dimitra Maragos, CTV News, Vancouver.
From the Tri-Cities to Sechelt, how these 10 homes were saved from the wrecking ball to provide new families with a place to live and grow. The story in just a moment, but first let's head outside. You're looking at a live shot of Robson Street at 6:07, and it was a pretty drizzly day today, typical kind of February day, right?
And we need the rain. Yeah, we're seeing some light showers out there right now, so keep your umbrellas handy because it'll stick around as we head through the overnight and tomorrow morning. Here's a look at temperatures across the lower mainland right now, sitting at 11 degrees in North Vancouver, 6 at the Harbour, 7 degrees in Surrey, as well as Pitt Meadows, Abbotsford, and Chilliwack. As we head through the overnight, a few clouds and 6 degrees. Into tomorrow, we'll see clearing. We'll start off with rain, but it clears up quite nicely, and we'll see a high of 9.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next trip by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
And a little bit of everything as we head into the next week. I've got your full forecast coming up.
Okay, thanks a lot, Anne. Well, there was more backlash today against a proposed supportive housing project in Burnaby that will be brought before City Council tomorrow.
Most of the residents would support a supportive housing if there was higher barriers to it, in a sense that there was no permission of open drug use and more vigorous security to make sure that drug dealers are not coming here to sell drugs in the neighborhood.
Dozens gathered outside the BC Housing Office to voice their fears about increased crime and drug use in the neighborhood. More than 13,000 people have signed a petition opposing the 50-unit project on Imperial Street that BC Housing says will provide stability and access to health services for its residents. A First Nation on the Sunshine Coast unveiled 17 new housing units today, once slated for demolition to make way for towers. The houses were salvaged and renovated. Now, as CTV's Ben Milger reports, they're home to a whole new generation of families.
It's a different color, totally different.
Over 38 years, Darlene Haddon raised children and grandchildren in this house. It was on a quiet street in Port Moody back then. It's one of 10 homes that were slated for demolition to make way for new towers that have instead been saved and transported to the Skijoring Nation on the Sunshine Coast.
It makes me happy to see that our house wasn't wasted. It was a beautiful home. And it just is amazing that it can live on and other people can enjoy it too.
The houses were trucked to the Fraser River before being loaded onto barges for the journey across the water to the coast. Once there, they got new foundations and interior renovations where necessary, with most of the work being done by members of the First Nation.
I did, I want to say 75–80% of the plumbing there. There were a few other groups that were in, but unfortunately only got about halfway through. So I ended up taking on all 10 in the end.
Some of the houses had basement suites added, bringing the total number of new units to 17. The First Nation hosted a ribbon-cutting ceremony on Monday.
They've moved into this development and they've made it their homes. And you can see by how they look now, how successful this project was.
Those involved say this innovative approach to repurposing houses that would otherwise be demolished and thrown in landfills can be scaled up and applied to communities in need of housing across the province.
There's about 700 really good homes that are torn down that could be relocated and repurposed every year. And so we know that there are communities like the Skijoring Nation and other coastal First Nations that are in dire need of good, cost-effective, climate-resilient housing.
These new homes are surrounded by empty lots, which already have utility hookups, as the First Nation looks to expand this subdivision to a total of 94 homes to ease its housing crunch. Ben Milger, CTV News, Seychelles.
A warning, some viewers may find the images in this next story disturbing. A BC man convicted of animal cruelty has been sent to jail after breaching the terms of his conditional sentence. Curtis Elliott was found guilty of animal cruelty last May after the BC SPCA removed 15 dogs from his property in Clearwater. The animals were found to be living in distress, severely emaciated and suffering from frostbite. Elliott was sentenced to a conditional sentence of 1 year, but broke his house arrest condition twice. He has now been ordered to spend the rest of his sentence in jail. A Vancouver-based mining firm says it has received reports that workers abducted from one of its project sites in Mexico have been found dead. Visla Silver says they are still awaiting confirmation from authorities in Mexico and will provide more details later. A statement from the company's CEO says, quote, "We are devastated by this outcome and the tragic loss of life. 10 people were abducted from a project site in the western Mexican state of Sinaloa last month, a region dealing with violence among rival drug cartels." It's been 1 year since 15-year-old Chase de Ballenhard was shot and killed by RCMP officers in Surrey, and the community he lived in has come together to pay tribute.
We miss him more than words can ever fully say. We miss his hugs, his smell, his laughter, even the way he would tell us off. We miss watching him dance in the kitchen, hearing "I love you" every day.
Dozens of people, including his parents, gathered at the intersection where he was killed to remember him. Chase had both autism and obsessive-compulsive disorder. He was shot after Mountie said he pointed a firearm at them multiple times, but it was later found to be a loaded pellet gun. The Independent Investigations Office later concluded the officers were legally justified in shooting the teen. The BC Coroner's Service has confirmed it will hold an inquest into the death. A dramatic rescue of a paraglider who got stuck on a sheer rock face on Vancouver Island. The fearless effort of a fellow paraglider to help him. And
I'm so proud of myself for putting a run down and being able to get up on the podium.
Meet the freestyle skier who won Canada's second medal of the Winter Games. When CTV News at 6 continues, stay with us. Day 3 of the Milan Cortina Olympics has wrapped up with a young Ontario freestyle skier capturing Canada's second medal of these Winter Games. And as CTV Scott Hurst reports, we came close to winning a third in the women's speed skating final.
This thing is really heavy. I think it's beautiful.
Canada's Megan Oldham is already loving life as an Olympic medalist. The 24-year-old from Parry Sound, Ontario, north of Toronto, soared to new heights on the biggest stage. With skis raised and medals around their necks, the top three making sure they got a podium selfie to freeze the moment in time.
Oh, I feel incredible. It still feels a bit like a dream.
Bronze in women's ski slope style and redemption for finishing just off the podium in big air at the Beijing Games 4 years ago. An Olympic accomplishment Oldham will never forget.
I'm so proud of myself for putting a run down and being able to get up on the podium and bring home a bronze for Canada.
Quebec's Naomi Ernest, who finished 7th in the ski slopestyle final, says it's an inspiration to watch her teammate on the podium.
Definitely seeing her success here really inspires me, and I'm so happy for her, and hopefully I can do the same one day or maybe in 4 years.
Expect to see both women compete in the big air competition as well later in the week. It was a close call for Quebec City's Beatrice Lamarche in the women's 1,000-meter speed skating final. The 27-year-old in her first Olympics was in the bronze medal position watching the final pair of skaters. Ultimately, the second-generation Olympian was bumped down to 5th, less than 1 second off the podium. Canada's medal count is now 2 as the first full week of competition is well underway. Bronze for Valérie Maltais in long track speed skating, and now bronze for Megan Oldham in ski slopestyle. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Canada's women's hockey team remains unbeaten at the 2026 Winter Olympics after a 5-1 win over Czechia. That includes 2 goals from Olympic rookies Julia Gosling and Kristen O'Neill. Sarah Fillier and Laura Stacey also added goals. This comes as Marie-Philippe Poulin left in the first period after a hard check and did not return to the ice. Canada faces the U.S. tomorrow. Here at home, some students in East Vancouver got to cheer on Canada's women's ice hockey team alongside some professional players.
I think it's important for these kids to hear not only who we are as players, but who we are as people as well.
Katie Chen and Melissa Channel-Watkins represented the Vancouver Golden Eyes at an Olympic watch party at Britannia Community Elementary School. 5 of their teammates are representing Canada at the Winter Games. In addition to watching the Canada-Czechia game, students got to ask the Golden Eyes questions and play some floor hockey with the pros. As athletes chase medals at the Milan Cortina Olympics, some fans are chasing pins. Pin trading has become serious business in Milan, with collectors lining up for hours and chasing limited edition souvenirs across the city. It's part scavenger hunt, part social scene. Some have been doing this for decades and have the hardware to show. That includes Thomas Rond, a pin collector for 14 Olympic Games and running.
It's really interesting. People have so much fun at it, and it's not really official yet for the Olympics, and we're in a club called the Olympin, and we're trying to literally get it part of the Olympics officially.
Collectors say every Olympic host city starts slow, but as the games go on, the demand for pins turns into a full-on frenzy. Meanwhile, Olympic organizers have launched an investigation into a few mishaps that have left Olympic medalists with a broken or chipped medal. Several athletes have had their medals break off from the ribbons around their necks only minutes after the award ceremonies. A source says the problem may stem from the medal's cord, which is fitted with a breakaway mechanism required by law. The system is designed to release automatically if pulled with force. As the push continues for a referendum on Alberta independence, how many actually want to separate from Canada? Also ahead.
We don't get to see how it truly affects the Cuban life on the island.
Crisis in Cuba. Air Canada cancels flights to the beleaguered country as the U.S. oil blockade puts the country in a desperate position. That's ahead. A reminder for drivers, the Botello Bridge is fully shut down this week. The closure started last Friday, and the replacement bridge is also closed. TransLink says crews need to complete connections on either side of the new bridge. The sidewalk on the old bridge is still open to pedestrians and cyclists, and emergency vehicle access is being maintained. With the closure, you can expect a busier commute on the Port Mann and the Alex Fraser. Breaking news, the opening of a nearly $6.5 billion bridge funded entirely by Canada is under threat tonight. Construction on the Gordie Howe International Bridge connecting Windsor with Detroit began in 2018. It's expected to open sometime in the next couple of months. But today, Donald Trump said he will not allow it to open until his country is, quote, fully compensated. In a lengthy social media post, Trump says that negotiations will begin immediately and, quote, with all that we have given them, we should own perhaps at least one half of this asset. A new poll shows the majority of Albertans want to remain part of Canada. The survey results come as a push to force a referendum on Alberta independence, as that continues with stops all over the province. CTV's Jordan Canagan has more.
Lineups are long and many signatures are being gathered, but support for Alberta to separate from Canada doesn't appear to be widespread.
It's the intensity factor here that I think really stands out. Right now, the intensity is with the stay side as opposed to the leave side.
The Angus Reid Institute polled 979 Albertans online from February 2nd to the 6th. It found 29% of people would vote for Alberta independence, while 65% would vote to stay in Canada.
That number is 7 times larger than the number of Albertans who say they would definitely vote to leave.
But those pushing for an independent Alberta say it's time to break free from federal policies they say are harmful and gain full control of the province's resources.
My response is that it's a phony poll. The mood in Alberta and what's going on in Alberta is what's being demonstrated by all of the events and signings, the signing events.
Rath suggests some of that support is coming from those within the provincial government, but says UCP MLAs are being muzzled.
We want to make sure that Ottawa pays attention to Alberta, that Ottawa hears Albertans, but we are supporting United Alberta within United Canada.
Those against leaving worry about the province being landlocked and losing key Canadian programs and infrastructure.
I think there's no need to separate Canada, as great as it is, and I love Canada.
I really don't think it's good because we support everybody in Alberta. Alberta supports most of Canada with workers, oil, whatnot.
Like there's 70% people that don't think it's a right idea, but they don't like it. There's BC. There's, move out there if you want.
Jordan Cadigan, CTV News, Calgary.
The Canadian government is calling for the release of Hong Kong's most vocal critic of China. Media tycoon Jimmy Lai has been sentenced to 20 years in prison, ending a high-profile case. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand posted this on X, saying Canada is disappointed with the sentence of pro-democracy media figure Jimmy Lai today in Hong Kong. Lai is 78 years old and in poor health, and we call for his immediate humanitarian release. Canada will continue to support free and independent media worldwide. Lai was accused of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces and publishing seditious materials. The British citizen denied all charges, telling the court he was a political prisoner facing persecution from Beijing. He was arrested in August 2020 and convicted last year. A number of other countries are also expressing their sentiments about the sentencing. Turning now to the latest on the situation in Cuba. Canadian airlines are canceling flights to the island nation tonight amid fuel, food, and medication shortages in the country. CTV's Austin Lee has the latest.
We understand that you like my country, you like to go there and have a good time. This is not the right moment to do that.
It's a difficult time for many Cubans in Ottawa, watching from afar as their home country is under immense pressure.
It's very sad because the only thing that is light up there is the coast with the resorts. But when you go inside, it's all dark. They don't have electricity. They don't have fuel.
It's projected that as of Tuesday, aviation fuel will not be commercially available at Cuban airports, leading Air Canada to suspend service to the island. The airline says over the following days it will operate empty flights southbound to pick up approximately 3,000 customers already there to return them home.
You should expect fuel shortages. You should expect potential blackouts. You may expect medication, food shortages.
We came to Cuba knowing what to expect. There's some things you'll have every day, some things you won't. I mean, that's a norm for here.
Tourists are also being moved from one resort to another due to a lack of resources.
They are conserving energy and putting people all in one hotel or certain hotels and closing other ones down. That in itself is scary.
Cuba depends on Venezuela to meet its energy needs, but with the United States preventing fuel exports to the island nation, Cuba is struggling. Cubans in Ottawa say they are waiting and hoping for a change of government in their home country.
We should have that regime removed. I think we are honestly holding on to that hope for our people there. And at this time, I think the smart thing to do is just to avoid going to Cuba. Cuba is going to collapse. It's collapsing already.
It's been very, very hard because I know that my country could have been so well off than what it is today if we did not have that dictatorship in my country anymore.
Winter has transformed one of the world's most spectacular natural wonders. Also ahead.
From what I understand, he played a very important role.
A daring rescue of a paraglider who got caught on a sheer rock face. What a member of his group did before rescuers arrived. That's next. A daring rescue unfolded on a rock face in the Cowichan Valley late Friday afternoon after a paraglider crashed shortly after taking off. The rescue happened on Mount Provost. Cowichan Search and Rescue says a paraglider in his 70s clipped a tree after takeoff, spiraled into a rock face and became lodged. A ground rescue team was sent to the bottom while a rope rescue crew went to the top. But both teams determined the rescue was too complex to set up in a timely manner, so they called the North Shore Rescue's helicopter hoist team to help get the injured man out.
They've got I believe, a large number of physicians on their team, and at this point, they had 2 on board. So we were very lucky that they were able to send this helicopter crew over.
She adds that what makes the rescue more incredible is that someone in the paragliders group climbed up from the bottom of the rock face without any safety gear, secured the injured man, and administered first aid until rescuers arrived.
From what I understand, he played a very important role. And this is by the physicians that were on board, that he made a really good decision to cut that gentleman out of the harness and get him into a safer location.
The injured man was then taken by ambulance to Victoria General Hospital. Below freezing temperatures are creating a new type of attraction for tourists at one of the world's most popular natural wonders. The American side of Niagara Falls is partially frozen. The formations might make it look like the falls are totally iced over, but the strong currents of more than 20 million gallons of water every minute are too powerful to freeze completely. The river has only been completely halted once, when it was blocked by an ice jam in 1848.
Wow.
Incredible. That looks like some kind of Dr. Seuss book, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
With the formation.
Yeah. Gorgeous
cool
to see. It's great in the summer, but that would be very stunning to experience.
Yeah, I've never been to the American side, just the Canadian side, but pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool indeed. All right, let's take a look at our forecast. We are seeing some light rain out there still, but here's a look at our almanac for today, for February 9th, where we saw a high of 9.6 degrees, a couple of degrees above the seasonal average of 7.5. It was a mild overnight at 4 degrees, the overnight low at 1.5, and with 9 days under our belts for February, we've so far seen 45.5 millimeters of rain, almost half of the seasonal average of 84.6 millimeters. And today, the hot spot in Canada was Qualicum Beach, high of 11 degrees with some light rain. The overnight low is 2.3, so it was a record high. The record set back in 2012 at 9.4 degrees. We do have a ridge of high pressure that is building offshore, clearing things out quite nicely as we head into tomorrow afternoon. So right now, we are still seeing some light rain across the lower mainland. We'll continue to see periods of rain through the overnight into tomorrow morning. We'll start off with some showers, but then tomorrow afternoon it dries up, clears up quite nicely as well. We'll enjoy a mix of sun and cloud. You will see a mix of sun and cloud for parts of the southern interior. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. Early morning rain clearing out of the way for Port Hardy with a high of 8 degrees. Partly cloudy skies in 7s. For Campbell River and Comox for the South Island, you'll see sunny breaks for Tofino. Showers to start off the day for Port Alberni and Nanaimo before it dries up and clears up. Sunny breaks for the Southern Gulf Islands. Victoria, you'll enjoy a mix of sun and cloud. Showers to start off the day for the Sunshine Coast with a mix of sun and cloud through the afternoon and 8. Same story up the Sea to Sky Highway. Squamish at 7, 4 for Whistler. And for us across the lower mainland, a showery start with a mix of sun and cloud through the afternoon. Temperatures between 6 and 9 degrees heading into Wednesday. A mix of sun and cloud and 8. Clouds over for Thursday with some sunny breaks. A few showers for Friday with a high of 7. And for Valentine's Day on Saturday, you'll see cloudy skies with showers. 7 degrees clearing up for Sunday and then clouding over with a few breaks and a cool 5 degrees expected for Monday. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So as promised, a little bit of everything, but not too bad for February.
Yeah, we're getting quite a bit of sun peeking through, so that's good. Right now, I'm on cherry blossom watch.
Oh,
I found
yes.
one tree in Vancouver.
That is pretty impressive.
Have you found anything yet?
I haven't been looking.
Okay, the race is on.
Okay, looking forward to it.
We'll probably see more this month.
Oh, definitely.
All right, thanks, Anne. We now know what caused the death of legendary actress Katherine O'Hara last week. Also ahead.
That's how I grew a lot of my client base, which is part of the reason why it really stings to have it be suspended right now.
For many, social media is key to their business, but Meta is canceling many accounts, saying users posted inappropriate material. The growing frustration ahead.
Time now for tonight's Skywatch. Cruising down Lougheed Highway eastbound at Gilmore under gloomy, overcast skies.
CTV Skywatch is brought to you by Kermac Collision and Autoglass, the name you'll remember when it matters. Kermac cares for kids.
Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar traded for 73 cents to the American dollar. Oil up 81 cents, closing the day at 64.36. Gold gained nearly $100 on the day. The TSX and the Dow Jones both finished higher, up 552 points and 20 points respectively. The operator of Eddie Bauer's Canadian stores says it has filed for bankruptcy protection in the U.S. and will soon make a similar move in Canada. Eddie Bauer LLC says the 220 stores across both countries will remain open, but it will host liquidation sales as the court processes get underway and the business seeks a potential buyer. If it can't find someone to purchase the business, Eddie Bauer will begin a wind down of its Canadian and U.S. operations. The company has 31 stores in Canada. A concerning trend is emerging on social media platforms owned by Meta. Many Facebook and Instagram users have had their accounts suspended after being accused of posting inappropriate material. And as CTV's Pat Foran reports, that has led to huge losses and frustration.
It's something I rely on so much for getting new clients.
Jennifer Gaskell of Whitby runs Pink Palm Travel, a business she has grown over the past 5 years using Instagram.
That's how I grew a lot of my client base, which, is part of the reason why it really stings to have it be suspended right now.
Last summer, Gaskell was stunned when her Instagram account was suspended for having inappropriate content, something that made no sense to her.
It was flagged for the reasons that they gave me were absurd. It was like nudity, for example. I immediately was shocked.
She contacted Meta to say there must be a mistake and to have her account reinstated without success.
There's been really nothing but silence from Meta on this.
It said that was banned, right? Suspended.
Yeah, the San Sivaraj of Scarborough had an Instagram account for 10 years with over 1,000 followers. It was also suspended due to content violations. He has no idea why, and he also can't get it restored.
Honestly, I just want my Instagram account back because I feel that I shouldn't lose it for something I didn't do.
With Meta, they use automated systems to detect policy violations, and sometimes these automated systems can make a mistake.
A social media expert says having suspended social media accounts reinstated can be difficult.
All the content we're posting online, again, is rented to these social media platforms. It's not really our own. We don't have control over it the way we wish we could.
A Meta spokesperson told CTV News support for Facebook and Instagram is available online, and there are steps to take to have accounts restored. But after months of trying, Sivaraja and Gaskell remain locked out of their accounts. They had to open new ones and start all over again.
Personally, I've had a 50% drop in inquiries, so it does have a direct connection.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
The official cause of death for Katherine O'Hara has been revealed. O'Hara's death certificate reveals she died from a blood clot in her lungs with rectal cancer listed as the underlying cause. The oncologist who signed off on the certificate indicated he had been treating O'Hara since last March and last saw her on January 27th. She died 3 days later in her Los Angeles home at 71 years old. A robot pulls off a cartwheel and backflip combo that would make an Olympic judge do a double take. Plus, meaningful motorcycle. Adam finds out the story behind a motorcycle that inspired an unexpected reunion. Next on the Sawatsky sign-off. Right now, here's Carrie with a preview of Your Morning Vancouver.
A Lower Mainland police force is launching a new tool to keep its community safer from crime. Tuesday on Your Morning Vancouver, how it's joining the ranks of other municipalities using this eye in the sky. And what you need to know about adopting a bunny, who will be joined in studio by the SPCA. We'll see you in the morning.
Puerto Rico. Record number of people tuned in to see Bad Bunny's halftime performance at the Super Bowl last night, and the Puerto Rican gave us a shout out during the closing moments, mentioning Canada alongside a number of countries throughout the Americas as part of a call for unity. It was the first ever halftime show performed completely in Spanish. The hockey community came together in southern Alberta last night to remember 3 young players killed in a highway crash last week. A moment of silence as hundreds packed the Stavely Arena to remember the players. The hockey gear of J.J. Wright and Cameron Casorso, both 18-year-olds from Kamloops, and 17-year-old Caden Fine from Alabama, was laid out on the ice. The game was one of several fundraisers raising money for the players, families, and team. The family of J.J. Wright are trying to come to terms with his death.
Even though it ended in the worst possible way for our 3 families and all of these teammates and everybody else that was touched by these boys, I've told the team, and I'll tell everybody that asks, that we are 100% happy with our choice to bring him here.
The Southern Alberta Mustangs will resume their season on Saturday. The community is also planning a larger memorial at a later date. Skijoring, an extreme winter sport that pairs skiers with galloping horses, is seeing a surge in popularity in Canada, sparking backlash from animal welfare groups. The Calgary Humane Society has received an animal cruelty complaint about the sport as the city prepares to host a skijoring event next weekend. The group Animal Justice Canada says the event may violate Alberta's Animal Protection Act and the Criminal Code of Canada. Since skijoring arrived from overseas about a century ago, horses have been seriously injured or killed in events across North America.
We are concerned that this event inherently puts horses at risk. And in addition to the risk that it puts horses in when they suffer catastrophic injuries and even death as a result, this can also be dangerous to participants and crowds.
Skijoring Canada says the horses are carefully trained for the event, and the organization welcomes questions about animal welfare. Snowmobilers revved their engines this weekend to celebrate one of Ontario's coolest traditions. The snowmobile racing event called the Bonnechere Cup is celebrating its 50th year. Often called the fastest show on snow, it draws racers from the region and beyond, as well as families and longtime fans.
It's carrying on a tradition where our fathers and grandfathers, and something that's big that people started that brings thousands and thousands of people into this area.
Yesterday's race attracted even more drivers than usual. There was $50,000 in prize money up for grabs to mark the 50th anniversary.
Looks like fun.
They really go fast. I've never been on a snowmobile. Have you guys?
Not like that.
No, definitely not like that. I would not want to get behind the wheel and go that fast. Okay, we've all seen those Boston Dynamics videos showing their robots running and dancing, but with this latest one, it seems like they're really just showing off. The company shared a clip of its Atlas robot pulling off a cartwheel and backflip combo that would make an Olympic judge do a double take. It was part of the final technical tests ahead of the rollout of the humanoid robot planned for deployment at Hyundai and Google DeepMind. But it wasn't all flawless. Footwork of blooper reel gave away some of the not-so-smooth moves behind the scenes.
Good to see we all have a bad day.
Yeah.
That's funny. And you know, it's funnier because no one's really getting hurt.
No.
Just some egos, maybe, of the computer
Why do we need
programmers.
robots that know how to do
Yeah, I know. Remember we talked about the household chores.
Yes.
That is the priority right now.
Focus on that.
Get that right. Okay, Lauren, what's coming up tonight on the Late News?
Well, Mijang, I know that many of us have been asking, where is winter? And we are hearing from some BC farmers tonight that the lack of cold is a double-edged sword. Ahead at 11:30, what they're seeing already from this warm winter weather and what it could mean for spring growing season, the good and the bad impacts for our local crops.
All right, thanks a lot, Lauren. One motorcycle on Vancouver Island has been lost, found, and loved again, connecting a family across generations. What started as a father's pride and joy has become a story of kindness and unexpected reunions. Adam explains in tonight's Sawatsky sign-off.
If you ask Richard Bales about his dad,
pretty damn cool.
He'll show you a picture of him on his beloved bike.
I've known about this bike my whole life.
The motorcycle his dad customized to look even cooler.
His pride and joy.
That he never wanted to sell, but he was a single father then.
It was probably pretty hard. We all make sacrifices for our family.
Well, they never saw that motorcycle again. Richard and his dad did bond over a shared passion for bikes.
My dad was always super involved.
Was.
His birthday today.
His dad died from a rare health condition when Richard was a teenager. And besides this old knife, Richard has nothing tangible to remember him by.
Everything's just stuff. It's just how that stuff makes you feel.
But then one day, Richard saw a post on social media about the old swap-in shop where his dad sold his bike and decided to join in the conversation by posting this picture.
I was literally shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Eugene Hudson saw the motorcycle he'd bought off Richard's dad when he was 17 years old.
I loved the bike beyond reason. It was a part of me.
Eugene had had it for almost 50 years before inviting Richard and his family to come see it.
And it was a really, really moving, tearful reunion.
And despite Eugene having countless wonderful memories wrapped up with the bike, he saw how Richard was missing even more.
I just knew it in my heart. I knew it. This has to go back home.
So although Eugene was never ever planning to part with the bike, he offered it to Richard.
I guess the way I look at it is I'm just a caretaker for this.
And Richard gratefully accepted.
Hey man, it was an honor that this guy felt like I was the right human for his girl.
Now the bike is on display in Richard's dining room, where he and his family will be gathering for a special dinner in honor of his dad's birthday.
It's cool. They're going to be able to see that, and it's history.
And knowing that Richard's grandkids will now be able to grow up to ride their great-grandfather's motorcycle couldn't make Eugene happier.
And its story can live on, sort of thing.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
The Sawatsky Sign-Off, brought to you by
CapitalDirect.ca. Let's make your vision a reality with Capital Direct. Call and talk to our team today.
How could he not give it back to him, right? It had to go back.
And he kept meticulous care of that bike for 50 years.
Amazing. It was meant to be. It's gone full circle. Interesting placement in the dining room, though. I love it.
For everyone to enjoy. All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot for tonight. A pink sunset behind a beautiful Mount Baker. Thanks, David, for sending this one in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well, so email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca. And please include the city, because we don't know where everything is.
Too much beauty.
That does look very iconic. Yeah. All right, thanks for joining us. Lauren's back tonight at 11:30.
Good night.